Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to coverage of VML Season 11. My name's Haiyue. I'm here with Misha, and yeah, that's right, Misha, Season 11. Can you believe it? How excited are you, Misha?
I am so ready. It feels like forever since we've done the last season, so I'm ready for 11, ready, just kick it off.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It has been a bit of a break. I think it was something like October. No, it can't have been October. It was like the summer, maybe maybe August. Yeah, that we had our last season. So it has been a little bit of a break. I know everyone was very hyped to get back into the VML. The signups were crazy this time around. I think we capped it in like an hour. So we are excited to get on with the show, and we are excited to be doing some fantastic magic today. As always, the VML is sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, so thank you so much to Wizards of the Coast for making this possible. Before we get into the matches for the day and the metagame and all that, I did want to just chat a little bit, given that it's the first show of the season, about what the VML is all about and what's happening with season 11, with this whole cycle and into the future. So, Misha, as you know, VML, it's a standard league. We play it on MTG Arena, and we have 128 players, all players of marginalized genders, who come and join in our events. And those 128 players, we divide them up into 16 divisions of 8. And all of those 8 players get to play each other. So the first 7 weeks, all round robin. And Misha, I'm sure you'll agree, some of the most cutthroat magic you can see.
Yeah, having done this for the last 4 seasons, the pool of people just keeps getting stronger and stronger. Every time I see a new list come out, I'm like, "Wow, that's a stacked division. So is that one. So is that one." It's great players.
It is great players. And because of obviously the players are so great, we've actually changed up the format a tiny bit. So last year, everyone of those seasons, it was just the top 2 that qualified into playoffs. But this time, we're taking the top 2 from each division, and we're bringing back the wildcard slot that we used to have. So 16 extra players will get to qualify for the playoffs based on their standings. And that's going to be the 16 players who didn't make top 2 of their division, but are highest in the overall standings, regardless of division. And that means that, which means, of course, that this season and all of the seasons this year are going to be 11 weeks long and not 10 weeks, which, Misha, is just more magic, frankly.
Right? How can anybody
For all of us.
complain? You get a 1 extra week, bonus week.
Bonus week, hello. We love it. And the players, they are fighting it out for a beautiful set of prizes, $7,000 in the prize pool for VML season 11 and for 12 and 13 as we get on later on. Plus, the top 8 of each season qualify not only for their regional championships, but also the VML championships, which will be held later on this year sometime. We think maybe late November, early December, sometime around then. And of course, the VML championships comes with 2 Pro Tour invites attached. And that's right, you can still play VML, get to your RC, qualify for the PT that way, but you can also qualify directly from playing VML events, which is very cool. And Misha, with Pro Tour Chicago coming up, we're actually looking forward to seeing the first kind of wave of VML players who came through last year's system and qualified for the PT. We're going to be seeing them in action in Chicago.
It's so exciting to see people that like, obviously, the ones that qualified in person, that's amazing, and I'm so proud of them. But just to know that we ourselves sent 2 of those people to the PT is just, like, next level joy.
Yeah. That's so true. That's a great way of putting it. Next level joy. So, I mean, for all of the 120 players in this season, that's the goal that they're going to be trying to reach. And of course, we also have seasons 12 and 13 coming up this year. We were very, very organized this time. We know exactly when the season going to happen. We don't have to we haven't published the precise dates, but the season 12 is going to be in May, and season 13 is going to be, I think, in August. So those are the dates for your diaries for seasons 12 and 13. But for here and now, we are in season 11. Misha, we are in week number 1, and we're playing standard. So let's have a look at the metagame for this week.
All right. So the metagame, everybody knows five color domain. That's been one of the most popular decks coming around. There's variety of which decks are a little bit more popular, which colors are a little bit more popular, but you've got your topiary stompers, you're basically ramping to try to get out your Atraxas. That's the big goal. Some Angels of Wrath typically. Domain's been around and I don't think it's going anywhere. Next for this season, we have Esper Midrange. I was a little surprised. I know Esper was huge before the last, influx of a couple new sets, but Esper's still here. Who can forget mono red aggro? Who doesn't who does
Not
who
me.
doesn't who doesn't love their red punchies? Rakdos midrange still hanging in there, doing some stuff real strong. And then we have the four color midrange. So we've got a few
Wait,
different four color combinations. So I think these four color mid range decks, there's a little bit of variety to them. I think they're mostly
well, I think a lot of them are Slogurk, to be honest. And
yeah,
this
yeah.
is, I mean, we've chatted about this in the Discord a lot. It's kind of been talked about, like, it has been the talk of the season so far. But 8 copies of Slogurk based 4 color legends, 4 to 5 color legends in the meta game this week. And we are very excited because this deck has been not only making waves, but really has been a bit of a creation of like the friends of the VML. So we love to see all the gurking out there, and we're gonna see how those decks fare as we get into the feature matches this week. Misha,
Like
I think it's about time. What do you
uh,
think?
I think so. I was just gonna make one little comment about the Slogurk. If you haven't seen, some of our testing teams have decided to name their teams this season after the Gurk.
Yeah,
We've
I
added
think
a
more than
variety.
one. In fact,
Yeah.
more than one team have named themselves after the Gurk, which, Slow Gurk is a card close to my heart, and I could not be more pleased. All right. Are we ready to have a look at our first pair of featured players for this evening, Misha?
Yes, let's head on over.
All right, let's have a look. So first up, we have Haminator, who is Chris, and they are bringing Golgari Midrange, featuring another card that's very hot in the VML community right now, Deep Cavern Bat. I'm glad to see you put that as a card to watch, Misha. What can you tell us about this Golgari deck?
Well, you have your deep cavern bat. It's hand disruption. Who doesn't love a little bit of hand disruption in the early game? But basically, this deck, Haminator said it themselves. Deep Cavern Bat, Glissa, Preacher of the Schism. That's their favorite cards to play. They're all in this deck. The Preacher helps with card draw and making 1/1 vampires. I won't lie, I am really excited about the Phyrexian Obliterator edition. I think that's going to be really interesting with the tail swipes to see, how many of the opponents' things you can end up getting them to sacrifice off of. Maybe some of those. You got your
Yeah,
shouldered.
I cannot wait. By the way, I cannot wait. When I saw this deck, I was like, 4 obliterators and 4 tail swipes. Like, let's go.
Yeah, they're looking for some violence, and I'm ready for some violence. Golgari Fights was a a good name for it.
For sure. Let's have a look at what Haminator's opponent is bringing. And there we have it. It is a 5 color domain piloted by Rebecca Black, a longtime VML player. Very excited to see Rebecca back for season 11. And says that she's very looking forward to being on a testing team because it's the first time she's been able to participate in that part of it. And for our players out there, I'm sure many of whom have been through the testing team experience with us, like it really is, Misha, something that's so unique about the VML and so valuable for the players.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to find people that you can bounce ideas off of and that are both looking to grow and work together. So the fact that we can put those people together and give them a place to thrive, I think that's something very unique to us, and I'm happy that we can provide that to our players.
For sure. Rebecca says her favorite card currently in standard is Elish Norm, which is a great answer. Is she win more? Always, always. But honestly, Misha, who doesn't want to win more?
I know I always do. I love that she has a one of Elishnorn in this deck, gotta have
Yeah,
that pet card.
gotta have it in. All right, let's crack on with the action. First feature match of the evening from VML Season 11. It's Haminator up against Rebecca Black. We can go down to the action, and we have Haminator on the lower half of your screen. As we look at these opening hands, Misha, what do you think of this hand from Haminator?
Ooh, bad on 2? That's pretty good, but nope, not gonna go with it. I might have kept that just 'cause, having that hand disruption early game and with us seeing the Rebecca only has the Nissa and the Leyline binding, snatching that Leyline binding up early would have probably been a good move, but that's okay because we do see that Phyrexian Obliterator and a Tail Swipe in hand.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I agree with you. It would be nice to have the bat on too, but I am here for the wombo combo, Obliterator plus Tail Swipe. But I mean, we're gonna have to see because currently Rebecca does not have a lot of creatures going on. There's no real targets for this combination.
That's true, and honestly, I think that Glissa coming out now, it is going to bait out that Leyline binding, so, next time or next turn, we might be able to see that Phyrexian Obliterator stay down.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Here is Deathcap Glade for the turn from Haminator. Yeah, choosing Phyrexian. Oh, and here's Preacher of the Schism. Chris is gonna play it a little bit a little bit coy here, Misha,
Yeah,
and hold back this Obliterator.
I I honestly don't think that's a bad idea though, because Chris wants to bait out any more Leyline bindings because they want that Obliterator on the field, so I would probably play the Preacher out as well, just to try to get anything else off the board, so my Obliterator sticks.
And now, if you're on Rebecca's side, there are a few options. There is the possibility of just getting this Nissa down and paying some life, but looks like she's going to go for up the beanstalk, try and find some more resources to work with. Sunfall is in hand. That can clean up after, any creature army that gets assembled. Finds hard migration, and she is passing it back. What do you think Rebecca is looking to do in the next few turns?
Um, Obviously, right now playing the cruel or Rebecca, I think I would probably, maybe go for that herd migration, try to draw some more cards off the beanstalk, see if I can maybe, dig to my Atraxa, at least one of them, get some of those other cards because she's getting pretty close to having the mana to play. So I think just getting a few more cards in hand is what I would be wanting to do right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. We see Cruelty of Gix come down. The first chapter is going to thought seize that Nissa out of hand for Rebecca and doesn't go for the herd migration, maybe thinking about holding it for the front side.
Yeah, yeah, that's a lot of 3/3s if she plays it on the front and a draw off the beanstalk. I could see an argument for playing the Archangel of Wrath right now. Could potentially knock off that vampire. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not
Oh
enough
my
mana to do
goodness.
the preacher though. Oh, just gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
Sunfall.
yeah, it's gonna go ahead and Sunfall. And honestly, Misha, I kind of like this because when you've seen that the list, your opponent's list has this obliterated tail swipe thing going on, like running out the Archangel is kind of sketch, right?
Yeah, no, it is. I definitely think if I was in Rebecca's shoes, I would not want to have any creatures on the battlefield so that they could potentially get obliterated and tail swiped. Getting the Atraxa out, at least, would trade, but
Mm.
anything else, it's just dead.
Look at this. Cruelty of Gix getting Tyvar's stand and piece of protection from the deck. And I think a one-off effect for Chris. So that's a pretty heads-up play. Be able to save it from something like another Leyline binding or even this depopulate, but of course would not save it from a Sunfall. And now Rebecca finds Topiary Stomper, has the Cavern of Souls ready to go for the seventh mana. Let's see what she decides to do.
Mhm.
Someone in chat just now was like, "What year is it?" And when I see Phyrexian Obliterator on the battlefield, I'm like, "That's a great question."
Yeah. takes me back. I remember, when I was first playing like, learning how to play Magic, I saw that and I was like, "How do you beat this?" You don't, right?
Right. It's just so scary and so ridiculous. But it is back in standard. We are going to see it stick around for now. Deep Cabin bat off the top for Chris. And I wonder if Rebecca's going to be a little bit worried about not having developed out one of these threats last time.
Yeah, it makes sense that Chris is gonna take that depopulate. Might as well send the obliterator and, just get in for damage.
Yeah, I'll love to see this. Rebecca down to 13 from the attack. Can transform the incubate token, decides not to. And here comes Angel of Wrath. That at least gets to take out the depopulate
Yeah,
back from under the bat if Rebecca so chooses.
yep. Honestly, I think if I were Rebecca, I would probably just run out that Archangel, shoot down the bat, and, have that depopulate ready because she doesn't really have any answers to the obliterator right now.
Right. That is true. Although, I mean, generally speaking, when Phyrexian Obliterator happens, the the big problem is that you lose all your lands, right? Like that's really where the fear comes from of like not being able to play the game. But this domain deck is so good and designed to get all of these lands on the battlefield. So I wonder if actually uh, that kind of annihilator effect isn't as terrifying for Rebecca as it would be for other decks, Misha.
Yeah, I mean, you do still need those lands though. So I know that Rebecca would have a few to sacrifice here, but at the same time, like once you start sacrificing too many, then you have the fear of am I going to be able to play any of my big ticket items?
Yeah, that
How do I get those lands back from the graveyard once they end up there?
for sure. Tyvar Sen is going to give Indestructible and Hexproof to the Bat. And Chris is just saying, nope, I'm not even going to let you try and get this depopulate.
Yeah, that bat stays, no to populate, not going to run that risk with the knowledge from the bat right now. Why would you
Yeah,
even bother? You know that there's only a herd migration and topiary stomper, nothing to worry about.
that's true. And here it comes. Tail swipe by Rexian Obliterator. Fight your Archangel. It's taking 3 damage. You sacrifice 3 permanents. And Rebecca's going to have to kind of figure out what to get rid of here. The token, incubator token, definitely going. Looks like up the beanstalk potentially. And a basic. So 3 permanents gone, holding on to the 7 lands. And is this Obliterator number 2?
Mhm, it sure is with mana up for another tail swipe.
Oh my goodness.
Not that we're gonna have anything to tail swipe right now, but if we did.
Yeah, I mean, the fun thing is Rebecca has to just play out this herd migration, but things just look so dire now for her. Tail swipe is gonna take out another one.
Yep,
That's
that's another
another
3.
3. Oh my goodness. And then if she wants to block, she has to potentially sacrifice all of her permanents.
Yeah, this Rebecca is in a very, very tough spot right now. I'm not sure if I really see a way out. I think she should probably block the 1/6/3 obliterator just to get it off the battlefield and maybe take the 6, the 5 from the other obliterator and the bat.
Right. And this is going to be, yeah, 3 trample plus 5 plus the bat. So Rebecca goes down to 2, is still alive for now, but does had to sacrifice another 3 permanents. And this deck is so punishing. And honestly, Misha's such a breath of fresh air in this green black list. We've seen a lot of green black lists recently in standard, but this is definitely doing something unique, and this is why I love the VML herd migration off the top. That does not seem like it's gonna do it, Misha.
No, no, I think game 1 is over. That's a lot of 3/3s out there, but that I don't believe is gonna be enough to save her.
Well, she's gonna try her best, and it is going to be herd migration, get the land, gain 3 life, go up to 5. Topia Stomper gets another land, so up to 6 lands, but is unable to attack or
Yeah, that's
block,
right.
I believe.
There's had to get rid of so many lands that the Topiary Stomper can't even block. That's right.
Oh
Oh,
my goodness.
yeah,
Um,
this is just death, it's basically death any way you look at it because there's so many, things that have to be sacrificed again that there's not really that many things that Rebecca could even play at this point.
yeah, I mean, I guess a depopulate off the top is an out.
That's true, yeah. I think that's one of the very few outs.
All right, and Chris is empty-handed. So is it going to be a sweeper? It is not. It's Cavern of Souls, and that looks like it's game one going to Haminator on this awesome Phyrexian Obliterator inspired green black deck. Let's have a look at the sideboards now, and we are going to be getting to see both players sideboarding. You see those duresses come straight in.
Yeah. I mean, if you can take away any of those board wipes, I think Haminator is gonna be just solid. So the Liliana's for the discard, the Duress is for hand disruption, get rid of any board wipe. I think Haminator should be in the clear. I know that we have Rebecca on the other side. We might get to see what. Yep, she's sideboarding next. Yep.
Yeah, we have. Let's have a look at what Rebecca did. Alishnorn, sadly, her favorite card is leaving, and Nissa. So some of these one-of like very strong effects are getting taken out. Invasion of Zendikar potentially getting shaved as well. Sophia Stumper, and I imagine Misha is going to be a lot of disruption coming in if it's available.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think the knockout blow is going to come in because any damage to those obliterators, that's just not good. I would imagine maybe some of the yeah, destroy evils, non-damaging removal. Um,
Oh,
but
hello,
yeah, the tide.
Tishana's Tidebinder.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
that's
do
an
find it.
answer.
Yeah, I do find it interesting that Tidebinders made it into a few decks this week. There was one that surprised me a tiny bit that we'll see later when I was putting together the slides.
I love Tashana's Highbind. Obviously, been making massive waves in modern as well, but love to see it here in standard. And out of the sideboard does seem pretty devastating if Rebecca can make it happen against the Obliterator. But that is the third copy of Duress that
Yeah.
Chris has drawn.
No,
This is the whole
honestly,
hand going.
I was a little surprised that Chris put back that one obliterator in favor of the double duress, but what's better than two duress? Three duress. But at this point,
Yeah.
the duress is kind of a dead card because Chris knows that Rebecca only has 3 lands. I guess now there's more than 3. There's an unknown card, but yeah, when you have that many duresses and only so many targets, I might have
Well,
favored the obliterator, but who's to worry?
never
The
mind.
obliterator.
Never didn't have it, I
Yeah, they
believe,
should.
is how we term this in the biz, Misha.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Why was I ever worried? They show up when they're needed.
They show up when they're needed. It's going to be Glister Sunslayer, first of all. The 3 mana version of Glister, unlike the 5 mana version that we saw a couple of sets later. But she has been doing so much work as a bit player in these green black decks. Just a super solid mid range card. And here is Duress. Rebecca may as well, I guess, just use this hard migration now.
Oh, absolutely. Might as well get the value off it while you can before you have to discard it.
And maybe some good news for Rebecca here. Haminator did not draw a 4th land. Did draw a Deep Cavern Bat, but that doesn't really do anything against the hand that Rebecca has.
Yeah, that's true, and, Chris really has no reason to play that bad at this point just because, well, I take that back. If Rebecca does cycle either of those tri-lands, then Chris might have a reason to, play the bat on second main.
It's interesting because I think Rebecca's looking for something like a Leyline Binding right now. Doesn't get it. Oh no, and Up the Beanstalk gets taken out by Glisser.
Mhm. Gliss is a strong card. It's a great addition to these Golgari decks.
For sure. And Rebecca just keeps finding lands. And down to 17, still a pretty healthy at life total, has the Spara's headquarters to cycle as well, but really needs some help from her deck now. Haminator stuck on lands a little bit, but with Liliana the Veil ready to go as well.
Yeah, I think Rebecca right now, Haminator has a lot of action, but struggling on the mana where Rebecca's just kind of flooding. She can cycle this other Triland and see if she gets some action because that's really what she needs here. And oh, unfortunately, another cycling land.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate here for Rebecca, but it does happen to everyone. We've all been there, just sitting there, kind of drawing land after land. At least for Rebecca, though, most of these lands can be turned into other cards.
That is true. Uh, yeah, I think Rebecca's in a good position to where if she does get any kind of action card, she would be able to play it. Right now, she's in a little bit of a tough position though because that Liliana is just going to make her discard, and it's hard to get any kind of an advantage when you keep having to discard and you're not even drawing into any action.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's see whether Chris decides to develop out this Phyrexian Obliterator. I think that they've been pretty cautious so far, which your opponent's deck is full of Sunfalls and depopulates. That makes a lot of sense to me, Misha.
Oh no, absolutely. I think Chris is playing very cautiously. They already have two threats on the board that are pushing quite a bit of damage. So I can understand why they wouldn't want to play out one of their big hitters into potentially a board wipe.
And actually decides not to plus Liliana. Oh my goodness. Again? That
That
must be like all the triumphs almost.
oh my goodness. And
Rebecca,
another.
did you put spells in? What's happening?
Did we see the right sideboarding? Are we sure that Rebecca doesn't only have lands?
Is Rebecca playing Bat Heist? I mean,
Wait, Chris has the bats.
hmm, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. There have been that's interesting. There's definitely spells in Rebecca's deck, but we're gonna see this Restless Cottage get activated now. That is a massive attack in for 8 damage. Rebecca down to just 1 life. What can she find? Destroy evil. That does not kill
Oh,
Glissa or the
yeah.
bat.
That
Oh
that
my
was
goodness.
specifically for the obliterators, and in this game, no obliterators have been played.
Yeah, that is a really unfortunate turn of events for Rebecca. Liliana's going to take out that last card in hand, and we're going to see Chris Haminator with the victory here in week 1 of the VML. Misha, I mean, that was just an astounding performance, really, by this green black deck. So solid.
Yeah, we were having the conversation before the game started on which deck we thought was favored, and I said I thought that the Golgari deck would be just in terms of the Obliterator tail swipe, and I was honestly going to be very surprised if it happened, and we got the treasure of seeing that in that very first game. That second game was a little rough. That was a very heavy flood, but great job to both of the players.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for Rebecca, but these things happen. And good news for her is it's only week 1. So, still 7 weeks of play left. And we have seen many players make it to the playoffs and even win the event, having started their season with a loss. Plenty of magic yet to come for Rebecca. And I'm sure that she'll be picking things up for the next week. All right. So, my friends. We did earlier tease that there were going to be some announcements coming up. Before we get into our second match of the evening, we have something very, very cool to share with us. So, you may remember that a couple of years ago, we did some cool safe play spaces at conventions such as Magic 30 and Face to Face Toronto. Well, today we are very pleased to tell you that Safe Play Space is returning for MagicCon Chicago. And this time it's going to be even better because we are collaborating with the awesome folks over at Birds of Paradise. Misha, tell us about this really cool initiative.
Uh, Both of our groups have very similar um, goals. We just want to create welcoming play spaces for people of, you know, marginalized backgrounds. So we're going to be working together to create that safe play space in Chicago. We're going to have a booth near the creators area, and we're going to have tables where you can come play with members from both of our organizations. We're going to have events like chaos drafts, some EDH decks, jumpstart, and more. So we would really love it if you're going to be in Chicago, if you would come over, hang out with us, and just, have a great time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited that we get to bring this back for Chicago because we had such a good time doing it before. And, from the very start, when we kind of got the VML going as an organization, we said we want to do these in person events. We wanted to kind of really be there on the ground level of the with the players, and we are so excited to get to do that again at MagicCon. Everyone deserves to be welcome at events, and everyone is welcome at the VML area. It's not at all to do with what gender you are, or what kind of in the same way that the tournaments are, but really what we want to do is create a welcoming space for everybody, and that is definitely going to be happening. So come and say hi to us at Chicago.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's only 2.5 weeks away. It's so soon.
Well,
So
Misha, you keep saying this to me, and honestly, every time you say it to me, my heart just like stops. So I'm gonna get to that when I get to that. Oh, all right. So back to the broadcast, though, as we look forward to Chicago, we're going to be looking forward to our second feature match of the evening. And Misha, I'm really looking forward to this one because it's pretty spicy.
yes, so I guess to start off, we have Azorius Tempo. This is one of those decks where it's a reanimator deck, but it's Azorius. We have our Haughty Gens, we have the Monastery Mentor, but we also have those helping hands to recycle some of those 3 mana creatures and get them back on the battlefield. It's gonna be a fun one to see, especially since I know what this deck is playing against.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to Noah as well, by the way, because uh, they have been doing these awesome stats pools for us. Well, actually, I think they did it pretty much as a passion project last season, but this season we're very excited to have Noah upload these weekly kind of stats and spreadsheets to the VML website. So if you are a data nerd and you want to check out what all the players are doing and how the decks are moving up and down and what the trends are, that is the place to go every week. But certainly bringing one of the coolest decks, Azorius Tempo, and Monastery Mentor, by the way, is such a classic, Misha. Finally back in standard, and I'm really glad to see someone playing it.
Yeah, honestly, I looked at this deck list and I was like, "What year are we in?" Because there's so many older cards in this deck that I was like, "Wow, that's in standard again?" Huh.
Yeah, sleight of hand is in standard. What's going on? Love it. Love it. All right, let's have a look at Noah's opponent because, as you say, it's going to be a fun one. It's Mel Woods. And Mel, one of my personal local friends here from Vancouver, BC, but has been playing VML for quite a few seasons now, and they have been doing so well, just aggroing out every season with kind of white based decks. This time round looks like Azorius Soldiers is getting the nod. And I really want to shout out for Mel because also they're like really one of the success stories of the VML. I think when I first met them, it was just, a casual F&M draft. They'd never really thought about playing competitively. And I was like, yeah, you should get into the VML, just give it a go. And then I think they made the playoffs that very first season. And now it's just been playing RC after RC and really trying to make it happen on the competitive tour. So very, very excited to have Mel back for season 11. And for Mel, it's Azorius Soldiers.
Yes, so we're gonna have an Azorius face-off, Tempo versus Soldiers. Remember earlier how I said Tishana's Tidebinder has been making its way into some of these decks? This might be a Soldiers deck, but the Tidebinder is here. There are two of in the main board. So
Oh, okay.
mhm.
All right. I love
I
it.
saw
I
that. I
love
was
it.
like, wait a second. One of these things is not like the other. You're a blue card, but you sure are not a soldier.
Yeah, I love to see Tishana's Sidebinder. And it plays pretty well with this deck, right? Because there are so many flash cards, there's all these counter spells and kind of activated abilities in this deck. So, you know, it is going to be a bit of a tempo versus tempo. Let's have a look at how the players get on. as we get into our second feature match of the evening. All right, looks like we have Noah on the lower half of your screen there. Looking at how the Monastery Mental Dissipate and Meeting of Minds a little bit slower on the start, and that is getting sent back. Whereas Mel, with the one drop, Misha, Recruitment Officer, couple of counter spells, and that Knight Errant of Eos. A great curve there for Mel.
It's not just the one drop too. The Zephyr Sentinel on 2, it's not the best for a, target for a Zephyr Sentinel, but hey, that's a 2 drop. We're gonna see a Ledger Shredder over on Noah's side coming out. I was gonna say, Noah's deck did look a little bit that first hand looked a little bit slow. Noah really wants to have these 1s and 2s coming down, so I do think it was a right move to get a mulligan on that.
Yeah, love to see these good decisions being made. Ledger Shredder is going to sit back on defense for now, perfectly sized against the Recruitment Officer. And we're going to see Mel flash out the Zephyr Sentinel in the end step, picking up the Recruitment Officer and getting that important +1/+1 counter.
Yep. That Sentinel is gonna be able to at least hold off that Leisure Shredder for right now. Um, that Leisure Shredder could start conniving though, and that might be a bit of a struggle for Mel once it starts to grow.
Yeah, Mel is going to get the Recruitment Officer down. Zephyr Sentinel can attack, but it's a bit dangerous, right? Because Noah's passed with this 3 mana up. You know what that deck is full of. And I think Mel made a very heads up decision there to not go for it into potentially a conniving Shredder.
Oh, absolutely. Because with 3 mana, Noah's deck can do a few things. So definitely a smart move not to just attack straight into that. It wouldn't even be a fair trade if the Ledger Shredder grew one. It would just be a loss on Mel's side.
For sure. And here comes the connive, putting sleight of hand back, plus putting helping hand back. Shredder actually to getting to connive twice this turn, thanks to the fact that Mel played 2 spells as well, including that Make Disappear on the adventure side of Pick Lock Prankster. So there's a tongue
Yeah.
twister for you, Misha.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. That's not the easiest combination to just whip out.
Yeah, and here's Haughty Jin now holding down the fort, and Shredder gets to get in. Honestly, this feels like it might just be a terrible matchup for Mel because look at the sizing of these creatures.
Yeah, that Shredder just growing and growing in the air. Mel has some good knights, but there's only so many cards in Mel's deck that have flying, and a lot of Noah's creatures are flyers.
Mel has some good nights, but I wonder if these 2 big flyers are just going to be a good night for Mel. Sorry, I can't help myself. Ah.
Oh.
Mel, by the way, respecting the prankster, like they're like, no, absolutely not to these fairies kind of getting to go through the deck and get value for Noah. Protect the negotiators, getting to counter that fairy makes a 1/1 as well, and that's going to really feed into this convoke for the Knight Errant of Eos. So things looking up here for Mel. Knight Errant of Eos being able to find some gas, hopefully for them, from the library.
Yep, we can't really see too well, so I don't know which cards Mel is currently debating on. Hopefully, oh, I think that's a Harbin over
Harbin?
there. Oh, a Harbin! I was just talking about Mel doesn't have a ton of flyers, but,
Oh,
what
yeah.
gives what makes them flyers? Harbin.
That's true. I mean, it's this. That's what the soldier's deck is like, right? Like, there's no flyers until there are flyers, and then there's a lot of flyers.
Then everything's a flyer, yes.
Oh, dissipate off the top plus a monastery mentor, and this is the exact thing that just feels so good whenever you get to do it. Monastery mentor holding up 2 mana for a counter spell. Of course, dissipate being given that discount from the Haughty Jin. It is straight up a counter spell. And Haughty Jin's going to keep getting in. Mel down to just 10 life.
Mhm. Zephyr Sentinel coming out, probably I would imagine it would have been maybe bouncing the recruitment officer, but, this dissipate's gonna go off. I think that's actually better for Mel because, that means Mel doesn't have to worry about the Harbin
That's
hitting.
true. Oh, and here's Tishana's Tidebinder. Now, we talked about this card already. I wonder what the best target for it is at this point, Misha.
Oh, that's a very good question. Let me double check the wording. Tidebinder, I know it kind of
Because it's going to
stifles.
take away the abilities, right?
Yeah, if an ability of an artifact, creature, or planeswalker is countered this way, that permanent loses all abilities for as long as the Tidebinder remains on the field. So that Tidebinder, oh, would I want to binder the Jin or Ledger Shredder?
Well, I
Hmm.
don't know that Jin has a triggered ability to
Yeah, it's not
counter.
activated. It's activated or triggered. So I suppose the Leisure Shredder would at least trigger or counter the Connive trigger.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Well, we'll see what Mel decides. They are building up quite a board presence over there, and we can see Noah activating this land, knowing that the time to get in is, before Mel can really build up the army and just try and close things out in the air before that happens.
If I remember correctly, those lands can actually be they're activated abilities. So I think those lands can be Tidebindered.
Ah, interesting. Let's see what Mel decides to do. It is going to be Werefox Bodyguard this turn, which does make sense. That is going to take out one of the attackers, the Jin, being the most scary. And Mel, not at risk of lethal, but is going to attempt to trade with the Anchorage. Elsa Smite, though, has other plans for the
Hmm.
Sentinel.
I won't lie though, I think the smite hitting the sentinel is actually a little bit better. You're still able to save the Harbin, you're able to save the Dinnick now. You don't have to worry about those getting smited. You do still have to contend with all these things in the air. So that Otawara, I think holding that for the Ledger Shredder, since the Ledger Shredder is currently one of the biggest concerns right now, even if it was Tidebindered and the ability gets countered, it still has all of those counters on it, and it's just a big body.
It is a big body. I mean, this matchup is so interesting because the ground is just so gummed up, right? Like it's just not about the ground at all, unless we get to see these Night Irons attack. But if you look at what Mel's working with, sure, Harbin can give you like this big burst of flying in the air. But because Mel's put all these cards like Tidebinder and the Night Errant and stuff, there aren't actually that many soldiers going on, Misha.
Yeah. the the Tidebinder, yeah, it does kind of gum it up when you're playing Azorius soldiers, but not everything you're playing is a soldier. We're gonna get
Hmm.
a couple more soldiers to the hand, so
Yeah, never mind. Just ignore everything I said.
just kidding. We have soldiers.
We have soldiers. We have oodles of soldiers.
I do, however, think that um oh, honestly, at this point, would I have Tidebindered maybe the Monastery Mentor and Ottawara'd the Ledger Shredder?
Hmm,
That
that's a
ment
good question.
that mentor making these prowess monks might cause a problem. It at least is preventing Mel from just attacking into Noah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but Noah's got to be careful as well, right? Because I know that they're at 20, but Mel's army is pretty giant, and that there's a resolute reinforcements. There's a Zephyr Sentinel in hand for
Mhm.
Mel, so things could get very scary very quickly for
Yeah,
Noah.
that Get Lost is interesting here because unlike the one of Elspeth's Smite, where it has to be an attacking or blocking creature, the Get Lost can just destroy. So having that Zephyr Sentinel out to potentially bounce something else, that's gonna be kind of important. Um, Oh, it's getting to be a bit of a spicy position because Mel is in a little bit of a precarious place with only having 3 life.
Yeah, Mel goes down to 3, really using that life total as a resource. We see this Zephyr Sentinel come out now. Shredder is going to be conniving, getting rid of a land, so it's not going to be growing. And that, I believe, is the 5th soldier. So
Um,
this is potentially a lethal attack here from Mel, but they do not know that Noah has this Get Lost in hand. Oh, but Mel has a second Harbin.
yes, they do. So here's the question. I can't quite tell. Has this been played on the main phase?
Yeah, this is in the main phase because if you go to combat, well, I mean, you could go to the beginning. Oh,
What yeah, was the
you're
Get
right.
Lost cast at the beginning
Right.
of combat or main phase? Because that's
I
gonna be a
think it's the
huge.
beginning of combat. You're right because there's a glow around Mel's
Mhm.
avatar. Okay, all right. So no ability to get the second Harbin down this turn. Oh my goodness.
Oh, and of course, Noah draws
Oh, the
into
fucking
another.
get lost!
Oh, so now, uh, but
Oh my
wait a
goodness.
second. Mel, this may not be the end. Mel still has the Otawara, which could
Wait,
potentially
but
bounce.
can they Otawara? They can't Otawara, right? Like there's no legendary?
Oh, you're right. The Harbin was killed. That was the legendary. Okay, yeah, that's correct.
Oh my goodness. The second to get lost off the top is gonna do it. And Mel just 1 mana short of using Otawara. Oh!
Oh,
Oh no, Mel can gain 2 life.
okay.
It's
So
not over, friends.
that werefox coming in clutch.
Okay, here's Cavern of Souls. Okay, what can Mel? Okay, Mel has. Wait, is this lethal? Mel has Otawara plus
If the
the
Cavern of
mana for
Souls,
Harbin, right?
I believe so, because if the cavern comes down, there's just enough for Harbin and Otawara to both be played to bounce the Jin to attack all in the air. I think
Oh, wait,
this
no,
could
no,
be.
no, 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 back up, back up, back up. There are not 5 soldiers that can attack,
Is the
right?
reinforcements not a soldier?
But then you need 5. The knights are knights.
Oh,
Because Harbin is a soldier, but she can't attack this turn.
that's
Oh
okay.
my goodness. So there's just Otawara, but oh, and Noah has the land as well. Oh, this was so close. I mean, I know Noah has been ahead this whole game. It's 20-1. You know, it looks very one sided, but honestly, Misha, this was incredibly close as a game.
Truly, it truly was because the Tidebinder can flash in and stifle the one flyer, but we need 2 flyers, and there's not enough with the Otawara to be able to bounce both flyers now, and you can only block 1, and that would be lethal.
Right. Oh my goodness. That was very, very intense. And you can see the good games flying because that was some great play. Heads up from both players, really knowing exactly what they're playing around and what they're trying to achieve. And we're going to go to the sideboard now uh, to have a look at what Noah is bringing in. And what do you
Back
like
up.
here, Misha?
I really like the March of Swirling Mist because that's gonna, block out some more of those potential, soldiers that, that are not knights. Those knights are deceptively soldier looking.
They are okay. That is 100% true. Like, you know, they've got the whole armor thing going on. Uh,
What what
they
really
look like
is
they
the
should be.
difference between a knight and a soldier?
I think it's the horse. You know, I'm no historian, so don't quote me on this. But if I had to guess, I would say the horse for
Do you have
sure.
to get knighted? Are you a soldier and then you become a knight once you're knighted?
Do you think the knights go around saying to the soldier like, "Oh, get knighted," like get good?
I'm gonna start saying that to people, so if it wasn't a thing, it will be now.
Great, love it. Let's have a look at what Mel is deciding to do. I think we see some Thalias coming in. That could be pretty devastating. and cutting a couple of these counter spells.
Yeah, I saw a couple of the Brutal Cathars coming out that can take out your those haughty gens, some of those pesky flyers over on Noah's side.
Yeah, for sure. Thinking about the Archangel Elspeth, and all of those Lunark veterans are going as well. And that makes a lot of sense because the veteran not doing a ton in this particular matchup.
Yep, the get lost coming in as well because it seemed to be the just too many flyers to take care of. So
And I like, by the way, this Mel bringing in this cool one off from the sideboard, Kutsil's Flanker, which is a 3-mana 3/1 with flash. And when it enters the battlefield, you get some choices. But the interesting one to me here, Misha, is you can exile your target player's graveyard, and that can just make the Haughty Djinn tiny.
yeah, what good is your Jin when it has no power?
I mean, it still does a couple of other things for sure, but you're right. You're right.
Who wants a weak Jin? I just want a strong Jin.
You just you like your gin strong, Misha?
If I drank Jin, yes.
Wow. Wow. I see. All right. Looks like we're going to go to game number 2. Noah keeping this hand of double monastery mentor plus consider, and Mel with a very nice one as well. Land on 1 into recruitment officer, 2-drop, 3-drop plus that Kutzel's flanker we were talking about.
Yeah, looks like you don't necessarily want to play that flanker on 3, but if they had to, they could flash it right in.
That is true. And speaking of flashing things right in, Resolute Reinforcements is going to be coming down, and Mel suddenly has 4 power on the battlefield already. And Noah going to be taking some hits. Oh, a wedding announcement off the top.
Oh, that's really good for Mel. Something for Noah to consider. That Sorry,
Would you
you
say
got me.
he's surveilling his options? I mean, I love it, by the way. I love that my terrible punning has influenced other people to also
That's just the
begin
kind of
terrible
night.
punning.
That's the kind of night this is now.
That's the kind of night this is. Was it a good night? Would you say?
That night you know Severin, it's always a good night.
Always a good night. Monastery Mentor hits the battlefield, and Noah has a second one coming next turn. But and it, one Monastery Mentor is already pretty scary. One of my pet cards in a lot of cube formats. But when you have multiple Monastery Mentors on the battlefield and they're all triggering, making monks, and all of those monks of prowess, it can get out of hand real quick, Misha.
Oh, absolutely. If I was on Mel's side, I would absolutely be trying to send that recruitment officer for a trade, and Noah says, "No, thank you. I'll keep my mentor."
Yeah, I'm good for this one. Speaking of knights, here is the Knight Errant of Eos. Oh, it was a whiff!
Oh,
Oh
no.
my goodness, a whiff of the Knight Errant for Mel. Not going to be able to refill their hand. And here comes Monastery Mentor. I don't think there's anything to get back with Helping Hand right now, but this Smite is going to be pretty devastating if it gets to be cast.
Yeah, I
Oh no.
agree.
Oh no.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's only 3 damage, but so I guess Noah would have to at least trade off one of the monks. But that's a price to pay to get a 4/4 off the battlefield.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this also makes sense, right? Mel has the Eiganjo that can take care of at least one of these Monastery Mentors if Noah decides to block.
Mhm.
And
Well,
if
no.
not, Mel gets to get a lot of damage through.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say Noah's gonna block with one of these 1/1s. Oh, but just kidding. Noah is blocking with the mentors as well. That was a good bait on Mel's side.
For sure. Here they come. It's going to be block as much of this damage as possible for Mel, and they're going to be saving their recruitment officer, Eiganjo, taking out one of those mentors. So at the end of the day, the board gets a lot clearer, but wedding announcement flipping now for Mel, and Noah finds helping hand number 2.
Yeah,
That
and
monastery mentor is not long for the graveyard.
Yeah, I was gonna say now it doesn't seem so bad that, that Mentor went to the graveyard because ooh, that's oh, and then we get helping hand number 3. I don't think we, if I were Noah, I think I'd be tossing 1 helping hand, but no, they're going to opt for the Otawara.
Well, I mean, there may be some kind of like Frankenstein nonsense going on here because so far as I can know, Noah only has 2 hands, but the third one has been
That
sorry,
3rd one's just unnatural.
it's just unnatural. Here comes recruitment officer, and oh, look at this,
Noah
sacrificing this shredder.
mhm. Yeah, Noah is, ready to use those helping hands.
Oh, and my absolute favorite mode of Wandering Emperor, the combat trick mode. Oh, and what about another reanimate?
Oh my gosh. I don't think there's anything, that Noah can't really get back now. There's just so many so many things. To be fair, there's not a lot of things to actually get back, but if Noah loses something, it can come back right away.
Yeah, I mean, Mel does have that flanker, but without the mana to really do anything with it, because they've really had to use up all of their resources every turn, kind of with these with getting out these threats. And now Wandering Emperor under a lot of pressure from these monastery mentors. Mel
Yeah.
really has to think about putting this soldier in front of one, decides not to. Wandering Emperor goes down, and we're going to go back over to Melson with Denick, Pious Apprentice. Oh, and that would have been so helpful to stop this reanimate shenanigans earlier on in the game.
Yes, that
Yeah.
Dinnick, that one ability that we forget about Dinnick all the time is that cards and graveyards can't be interacted with or your opponent's graveyards, so, that's really strong over on Mel's side.
For sure. But speaking of really strong, look at this stack.
Oh my gosh, so many monks, so much prowess.
So much prowess. Oh, and there's the Jin.
Ooh.
We imagine this has got to be met with the counter spell.
Mhm. Absolutely. There's I can't think of any other target that I would wanna use it on.
Yeah, and Danik doing a good job stopping, helping Han from getting the haughty Jin back, at least for now. Back over to Mal's side. And second wedding announcement. That's not bad.
Yeah, especially now that Mel has Dinnick over there and can, at least has some potential lifelink. But Dinnick's going to get lost and we have access to the graveyard again and so many monk triggers.
Oh my goodness.
I
I have to
think
say, Mel, I know you're a fan of the good knights. I'm and the strong gins, but I'm a fan of the big stacks, I think. Nothing makes me happier
oh my
than
goodness. I
than a
know
big
this
stack. Oh my god.
I know this isn't a combo deck, but this feels a little bit like a combo deck with how many triggers are going on the stack and just oh wow.
And no, I can even send with everything and hold up meeting of minds to make more prowess triggers, I believe. So pretty interesting there that Noah
Yep, with all
didn't
the
send with the
convoke.
mentors.
I think if I were Noah, if I sent with the mentors, that would signal, but at this point, it
But I think it's lethal anyway, potentially.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you see Mel offer up the GGs. They're going to go down to 2. Noah not going for the consider there, but Werewolf Bodyguard off the top, not going to do it for Mel. And we're going to see Noah take down this Azorius mirror, but 2 very different Azorius decks going up against each other. And Noah's going to get on the scoreboard for VML Season 11. Misha, what a cool deck.
I really enjoyed that. Like, I know it's tempo, but that just felt like prowess, reanimator prowess monks. Like,
Is this the real meaning of tempo? Like, have we finally cracked what the word tempo means? It's prowess reanimator monks.
Maybe.
Maybe.
So many helping hands.
So
Those monks
many.
are in the business of, giving their helping hands out.
All right,
Oh,
that's where all
wow.
the hands were coming from. It was all the monks. I get it. I get it. Do you remember that card from a while ago? And it was like maybe a monk, and it had like 1,000 hands or something, or like 100 hands, and it
Oh,
could block like 100 things. I don't know. Come on, chat. Give me a hand.
oh boy.
You know what I mean? It was like one of these like fun, weird cards that you see very often come up in something in like Judge's Tower, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that was a
um,
great game. I really enjoyed it. That first one was so close, just to seeing the back and forth, and then getting to see the recommission, helping hand, reanimate combo with both of those monastery mentors on board. It was an absolute delight.
yeah, it was a treat for sure. All right, we're gonna move on to our third feature match of the evening. Let's have a look at the first player in our third feature match of the evening, because we're gonna do something a little bit different now. We're here with checkmateCora, and she has brought Selesnya Toxic. Amisha, has this deck changed at all since it kind of came on the scene?
Not by much. Haven't gotten really any new toxic cards, so pretty much everything we're seeing is stuff from the sets that were, really toxic heavy, one, and yeah, mostly I think all will be one are where most of
Mm.
these cards come from. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. We have some knockout blows from Capena. Trying to see. Over the Edge and the sideboard was from LCI, some Royal Treatment, but those are sideboard cards. All the main board cards I think are, from what we saw last season for the most part.
All right. And, Cora saying Green White Toxic is her favorite deck, which, yeah, there are all kinds of people in the world with all kinds of opinions. Um, I'm joking. I'm joking, Cora. I've just died to this deck so many times that whenever I see Skrelv come down on one, my face is like, no, stop, not again.
I feel like that's just called cute aggression, Haiyue. It's so cute, you gotta kill it.
Uh, that's great. That's a great way to look at it. And of course, says she loves venerated rot priest, which makes a lot of sense. Being able to win a close game where you can't get through with attackers is a great feeling, and that is very strong, right? Like this ability for these aggro decks or these maybe a bit of a niche kind of linear strategy decks to have a plan B and to have a different way of winning if the plan A isn't getting there, Misha.
Yeah, I'm all about alt win conditions, and I personally am a toxic lover because you don't have to count to 20, you just have to count to 10, and 10 is a lot easier.
Okay, I mean, I'm pretty bad at counting, as everyone knows. So maybe I should give Toxic another chance because I do find it difficult to get up to higher numbers sometimes. Let's have a look at Cora's opponent and see what they brought. We have on the other side of the battlefield Nora, and Nora has brought Four Color Legends. And this time, with our first foray, Misha, into the Slogurk decks this season.
Yes, we're gherkin. Slow gherkin, that is. I like how, granted, nobody knows what our players name some of these decks, but I do, and Nora named this more like Fast Gurk. So,
All right. I love it. I'm here. By the way, Cora named her deck Britney Spears Fan Club, which I love. Toxic by Britney. What an anthem. What an anthem.
yes,
I'll
so
buy you.
with this Slogurk deck, the whole point is to get Slogurk out, to get some lands in the graveyard, start recurring, get those lands back, and just get a big Slogurk, or maybe just get a lot of lands and get a huge goose. So I'm really excited to see this Gurk combo coming out.
Yeah, let's go down to the action and find out whether Nora's going to be able to put the Gurk together or whether we're going to see this toxic deck get underneath and get through for lethal. Looks like we have just Cora's side of the view, and we have. Let's have a look at her opening hand, see how it's going. That's a pretty
Oh,
nice one, Misha.
that oh, yeah, I would be very happy with this.
For
Oh.
sure. Look at all those one drops: Crawling, Chorus, Venerated Rotfreeze, and Skrelv all available. Plus Skrelv's Hive, which can be pumping out more of these toxic mites. And Cora, I mean, this is going to be a tough hand to beat, I think.
It is. I think my only complaint is, I would just want more white mana with this, especially since that's a brush land. Because that's you're gonna get ouchies on yourself with that one.
You're going to get ouchies on yourself.
I mean, you gotta pay for the white, and it's gonna hurt.
Well, acute aggression really is the name of the game here, Misha. Let's see what Cora decides to do. Looks like it could be Rock Priest, or it could be Skrelv Rock Priest. Both pretty valid options. As we see Nora just open with that Xander's Lounge on one.
Yeah, I think I might actually be tempted with Rot Priest on this. But Skrull
That
for the
makes
protection is not a bad choice either.
for sure, for sure. Here comes Skrelv plus Rock Priest. So Cora with a bunch of creatures down already. Let's see what Nora can do. It's Rona. Rona is at least going to be able to block one of these threats.
Mhm. Yeah,
No third land for Cora.
yeah, that hurts Cora a little bit, and I don't think Cora's gonna wanna just run the Skrelv or the Chorus into a 1/3 at this point, so there's not a lot of incentive for Cora to attack into the Rona,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
That makes sense. I mean, Cora could be really aggressive here, right? And just activate the Skrelv, give the chorus maybe protection and uh, get through one damage. Or
Oh, that's correct.
alternatively,
The slaughter coming
oh
out does do the pump on the team. So,
goodness. Honestly, I think I've had so many traumatic memories from this deck that I've just entirely blanked it from my mind. Like
yeah.
Slaughter Singer pumping up the team, and I think we're at 3 poison counters already. Rona's going to be doing some digging, and I'm worried that we're not going to see any Slogurk action happening at all here, Misha.
Yeah, this is such a strong start for Cora, and I mean, we're already at 3 toxic. That's that's pretty strong this early in the game. We're going to see Inti come down that will untap the Rona.
Okay, that's nice, but I don't think Cora is going to really be attacking anytime. Sorry, Nora is going to be really attacking anytime soon.
No, it definitely seems as if she's going to be on a defense game. The only issue is if Cora decides to attack all, I don't think Nora wants to get rid of that Inti. So there could be a potential of a trade-off, but the Annex Sentry will come down and can take the Inti, incentivizing
Oh
Cora
my
to
goodness.
just slam all again.
And let's have a look at what Nora has access to, because there's 2 legends on the battlefield now, which means that we have 2 mana discounts for all of the channel lands. But Otawara, I think, needs another mana to be available. So Otawara definitely not on the menu.
I'm
And
looking
Xander's
at
Lounge being up.
Yeah, I'm looking at Nora's list, and there is a single copy of Cut Down. So I don't know if that's in her hand, but it is a potential.
Sure. Okay, yeah, cut down could be pretty devastating, right? Cut down on, depending on whether Cora sends with the Skrelv.
Mhm.
It could be something like cut down on the Annex Sentry, get a Rona back, block a couple of things, and that could be pretty reasonable. But ultimately, it is only a one of in the deck, and we're gonna see Annex Sentry take away that Rona.
Yeah, so if Cora oh, there it was, the cut down was in hand, the one of.
But
But
Skrelv,
the Skrelv has not been yeah.
right? Skrelv still gets to activate and protect this singer. So unfortunately, cut down is not going to be doing its thing, and
A
that's going
Rot
to enable
Priest.
this. Oh, and Rot Priest triggers. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. Things are just getting worse and worse here.
It is. At least Nora was able to trade off Inti with the Slaughter Singer, so even though it was protected from the cut down, it did make the trade. Um, it still doesn't look like Nora's in the best position right here, already being at 6. And Cora does have 4 toxic creatures on the board, so
Oh, and
oh, and I
charge
think
or
that
something?
charge, yeah, the charge coming out, I think with the Rot Priest, it's gonna be tricky because the Rot Priest, if it ends up you can't really attack with it because if it trades, then you don't get the counter, but if you do the mites first.
Right. So here's charge of the mites. That's going to be sending it into trying to just get it off the board. Nora has some potential plays, but looks like none of them were in hand. We're going to
Yes.
see the full, not the full send, maybe, but the send with 3.
Yeah, keeping that scroll back for some protection. So I was gonna say there are 3 go for the throats, and Nora does have 2 mana up, or there's just the Beseju. But again,
Besayu also gets countered by the
yeah,
Skrell.
protection
Oh, no, because
is
Besayu
colorless.
is
That's
colorless.
correct. I was gonna say protection is great, but
Yeah, it's not going to help. Oh, and look at this. Beseiju on the Annex entry. Get back Rona, block the crawling chorus. Nora just go up to 7, which is very scary if you're a Nora seat. And then that crawling chorus leaves a mite behind as well. So Nora still needs a lot of help here, Misha.
mhm. Yep. This is not looking great for Nora because anytime she targets a creature over on core side, those rot priests will just trigger.
Right, but only with spells, right? So if she uses the channel lens, I believe it's fine because of the ability.
Yeah, the channel lands would be fine, but any of those go for the throats. Or
Right.
if the Urtais were to come out, those target. So
Oh,
oh
but
the
it's gonna be so concerned. All right. I mean, Nora's hanging on
yeah, I will give Nora some props here. I'm very impressed with how long she's survived.
for sure. Does only have the one card available. Rona gets to go digging. At 8 toxic, bins the Plaza of Heroes. That's not going to be very much help here. And, if. Oh, here's Slogurk. And what can Slogurk do now? I mean, Skrelv can keep giving protection,
Yeah, and right now protection from blue would bypass.
both creatures.
Mhm.
But if Nora has another channel land, like an Osawara here, could be pretty devastating.
That's correct, yeah. Skrelv cannot protect from those colorless lands, so that definitely makes it a little tricky. This is a very interesting matchup, the channel lands versus the versus the Skrelv protection. It looks like you called
Oh,
it
there it is.
Otawara.
Oh my goodness. And
That Rot
Slugger
Priest
gets a
will
counter.
that Rot Priest will come back.
Yeah, may as well mill one. Relic of Legends, great. Don't want that. What can Nora find? I am like on the edge of my seat. This is an incredible display here from Nora. Ashnot, that's gonna hit the bin.
Okay, another
Inti,
creature.
okay. And has to pass it back. So there's 4 attackers, potentially 3 blockers right now. Skrelv can no longer give something unblockable because Inti is red.
Mhm. There is the option of Skrelv giving the one of the rot priests protection from blue, and then it would get pumped up by the slaughter specialist, therefore
Right,
making Nora either have to trade or go up to 9.
right. That yeah, that's a great point. So
So Cora's still putting that
wow,
pressure on.
that one extra point of toughness really clutch here for Cora.
Mhm.
And Nora, what's Nora gonna do? I mean, they can't take this, right?
Oh, I
It's,
don't really see too many outs if Nora trades Inti off, but yeah, going up to 9 is very scary.
it's so bad. Like it's so bad.
But Slogurk will get another counter.
Okay, an Inti finds Otawara, but Otawara does not, I think, is not, I believe, able to be cast off in to be channeled off Inti.
Yeah,
It's,
it says you can
that's an
play that
activating
card.
ability.
Yeah, it says you
Yeah,
can
but
play
play
that
is not
card.
right. Okay, so Otawara can only be a land drop.
Mhm.
Can't channel that. Rona has to go digging again.
Yeah, that was honestly probably one of the worst hits Nora could have had with the Inti, since it no
Right.
longer lets the channel be usable, and that was one of the few cards that I think would have really helped Nora in this position.
Oh no, the goose mother.
The goose is not loose, unfortunately.
Oh, no, this is in the bin. And Nora's going to pass back over. There are a million attackers now on this side of the battlefield. Eight poison counters already for Nora. Just two more for this game to go in the way of checkmateCora. And we'll see whether she decides to send the whole team because it's looking good,
Yeah,
right?
I'm looking at Nora's list, and I don't believe there's anything there that could prevent a team send for 2.
Yeah, there we go. That's gonna do it. And game one going to Cora with Toxic. I mean, that was an incredible opening hand, and Cora played very well there, using that scrub to maximum effect. And yeah, you're gonna see the fourth copy come straight in.
Yeah, I just wanna say props to Nora because that was a very strong right out of the gate game for Cora, and Nora really held on for a long time there.
Yeah, you are definitely right. I'm gonna see what Cora is looking at here. Thinking about over the edge. Potentially, there aren't a lot of things to destroy on the side of the Farskirk deck, shall we
Yeah,
say? But
I think the consideration for that is just the +1/+1 counters to get past that Rona, because when you have so many 1/1s and then you have a 1/3 that comes out early game that's doing a bunch of that, sifting through cards, if you can at least get your stuff up to a 2/2 to start pushing through, like, that's still incremental toxic coming through.
right. I wonder also about these royal treatments because, we saw that Scrub not very effective against the channel lands, but giving your creature hexproof, that does stop the channel lands from interacting with them.
Mhm.
So we see a little bit of change up at the 3-drop slot as well. Ultimately, though, Misha, this deck, it just needs this kind of a critical mass, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I honestly I was looking through those royal treatments and just giving it a +1/+1 counter plus ward 1. I think that's actually a decent consideration for some of these smaller creatures, but
Hmm. Right, because your opponent's creatures are like, they're like 1/3s or 3/3s a lot of the time. Like just being able to get them through does seem to help. But Cora is gonna try to repeat the performance here of her game number one, and more Nora trying to bring this one back for the Slogurk fans out there. Looks like it's going to be a 6 for Nora, and this hand not quite as explosive maybe as the one we saw before.
yeah, honestly, the double hives are actually pretty good. That is a lot of damage, but this seems like a pretty strong curve out because you can get a hive on 2, you can get the annex sentry on 3, exile Whatever creature. Right now it's the Inti. If a Rona comes down, I think the Rona is potentially the better target. But just gonna go with that Slaughter Specialist and push through for some damage and a
Yeah,
toxic.
crawling course. Yeah, crawling course gets in. Nora decides not to block with the Inti. Here's Ashnod, Flesh Mechanist, and she does have Death Touch as well. And when she attacks, you can sack a creature, get a Power Stone, and there's some other shenanigans that Ashnod is able to make happen. But Nora passing the turn back with just Inti, two legendaries available, no blue mana for Ottawara just yet, but could be looking at something like a Sokensan maybe.
Mhm. Oh, this is interesting because Ashnod, does it cost a sacrifice? No, I think you can just sacrifice another creature and create that Power Stone.
I think she has to attack. I believe to sacrifice the
Oh,
creature.
you are correct. Yes.
I already know this because I played a lot of Brothers War Limited, and Ashnod was like one of my pet rares in that particular format. But we'll see.
Oh,
See the
gonna
Akanuma
exile.
getting used.
Gonna exile that Gix's command.
Right.
Looks like Cora's gonna keep that slaughter specialist back, see if Nora will trade off with the crawling chorus. Oh, nope, gonna I think I would personally keep that slaughter specialist back. I like that it gives the pumps and it makes for an easy trade, I think, with Ashnod.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Misha. Like, it's blocking the chorus is just so bad. Like trading with a one drop that makes it that replaces itself just is super not what you want to be doing. Gix's command is very sweet, but Nora doesn't have 5 mana this turn, and that's a bunch of lands in the graveyard. But honestly, I having been kind of promised the expectation of fast Gurk, uh, Nora's currently looking a bit like there's not going to be a lot of gurking going on, you know, in this game.
Yeah, no, I think Slogurk does sound more accurate. Oh, wow. Cora can play out most of her hand at this point. The Rot Priest, Hive, and Skrelv.
Right.
Or
And
doubles the Hive if she wanted.
I it's got to be tempting to get Skrelv down, right? And the Rot Priest as well, given your opponent has, these removal spells. You just saw the cut down, but there's all those go for the throws. There might be more out the sideboard as well. And
Yeah,
this
I
game
think if
definitely a little slower coming out than the last one.
Yeah, I think if I were Cora, I think the double hive makes sense here just because you're
Hmm.
getting these 1/1s that are getting pumped to up to 2/2s. And I don't think I would want to play the Skrelv and Rot Priest out just because that Ashnod with the Death Touch, it doesn't matter if you're pumping them up, it still will trade regardless. So why not put two hives out, get some tokens, and start trying to trade those off with Nora's creatures that actually matter?
Misha, that's a great point. And we're going to see this kind of slow but steady march of the mites continue here from Cora. And it just goes to show that, these players really know what's up and know exactly how to their change the rhythm, the tempo of play, and their strategy depending on what's really happening in each specific game, Misha.
Yeah, I think if I'm in Cora's position at this point, she does have a Mirex out there. You can pay 3 and tap it and make more mites. So I think I might potentially play out a Skrelv and then just start Mirexing for even more mites and just go wide in this circumstance.
Yeah, going wide seems to be the name of the game. As Nora's going to trade a Plaza of Heroes for that crawling chorus. Does leave a mite behind, as previously discussed.
Mhm. Oh man, that's so many mites and that's so much death touch when they all get a +1 from the specialist. It doesn't even hurt to have the hives anymore when you're gaining this much.
Right. Yeah, Nora's just gonna let it all through. Goes to 7. But is there anything? I mean, there's Gix's command. We saw one being exiled already. And so Nora really just hoping for the second copy of Gix's Command out of the sideboard.
Yeah. She would have just enough mana to play it if she has it, so
I mean, we have to imagine that she would have played it if she had it. This may be a bit of a desperation attack here from Inti.
that
Wanting,
that's surely what it feels like, is looking for that, Gix's command. Oh, we see
sure,
the Takanuma.
that's not it. And Nora's going to scoop it up. It is going to be checkmate Cora with green, white, toxic. That is going to be taking home the victory here in our third feature match of the evening. Misha, that did that go how you thought it would?
When I heard Fast Gurk, I was like, "Okay, I'm ready." So I was hoping to see a little bit more Gurkin out there, but I do love me some green white toxic. I'm one of those players, so I'm happy that I got to
You're,
see
you're
that.
Yeah, that is some pretty toxic behavior, honestly, from both you and from Checkmate Cora. But it's taking her to the victory in week number 1 of season 11 of the VML. Every time I say season 11, my brain is just like, no, Hai, you've got it wrong. You've made a mistake. So, something's not right here. We cannot possibly be at 11 seasons already. And Misha, before we get into our last feature match of the evening, and speaking of kind of how long the VML's been around, we do have another very exciting announcement for all of you because we've been really okay. Honestly, guys, this is something that we're working on for months. Honestly, maybe like nearly a year at this point, and we're finally getting to tell everyone what we're doing at the VML, which is very exciting. So, as you know, we've been doing these magic tournaments, magic events, and also doing the safe play spaces at conventions. And ultimately, we just decided that we want to make this organization a proper non-profit affair. So we the VML is still going to be completely as it is, but today we're very, very excited to announce the formation of our new nonprofit organization, Gender Inclusive Gaming. And we, I mean, the 501c3 status is still pending. You know, the paperwork is being slowly considered, I would say, by
Yeah.
the IRS. But we are super excited to be making this change, becoming a more of an umbrella organization, and hopefully in the future bring you more events, work with more partners in different communities. And Misha, you can see that VML is still going to keep going, still going to be called VML. Everything's going to stay the same on that front.
Yeah, the tournament's here. It's not going anywhere. We're still gonna keep the VML branding for the tournament, but gender inclusive gaming is just going to be, you know, overarching over it so we can do more stuff, potentially even more games in the future and just
Yeah,
keep
I
creating that safe
cannot.
space.
I cannot wait. I already have so many ideas for more stuff that we can do. And of course, we will have some cool fundraising and donation events up once we get that uh, 501c3 status through. So watch out for those. And, you know, with the new organization, we do have some changes in personnel as well. So we can bring up the slides and you can meet the new leadership team for gender inclusive gaming. Two of which are here today. Hello. Um, it's going to be me and Misha, and we are joined by this awesome cast of people who are hoping to bring some more energy, more projects, more initiatives to this organization, and we are looking forward very much to the future. And you know, as we say that, we also want to say a massive shout out to the people who have helped us get to where we are today. First of all, of course, to Caroline, who is leaving the leadership team of the VML, but that does mean, Misha, she gets to do what she wants, which is play in the VML.
Yes, the last time she played, she won, so, now she's back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see that a little bit later on. But there we have it, the brand new leadership team for gender inclusive gaming. And we are super excited to be bringing you more cool stuff in the very near future. Let's have a look, Misha, at our feature match that is coming up. Um, we may have mentioned Caroline, and she may be coming up. But first of all, we have Nicole Dubin. We're in Divisional 11, and if you didn't get your Gurk fix just now, well, maybe it's time to get it here.
Yep, we're running it back. The lists are very similar. There's another Ashnod. I think there's a few less Shouldreds, but it's pretty close. We've got two cut downs in this one, and we have the Anoint with Affliction. But hopefully, we'll get to see some actual Gurk action.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see Gurk get to do its thing for sure. And Nicole, very experienced with the deck, won her RCQ with this deck last weekend. So congratulations to Nicole, and has been really enjoying it. So we're excited to see what happens here. And let's have a look at Nicole's opponent. We talked about her already today. It is Caroline, the mighty Linguini. Welcome back to the VML streets, Caroline. And by the way, the mind games may have started early this season. By Misha.
Yeah, yeah. They sure did. I think Caroline was watching all that Gurk conversation in the Discord and was like, "Well, I know what kills the Gurk." And they have,
Yeah,
metagamed.
yeah. Let's talk about Caroline's deck because Golgari midrange. I know Caroline very well. I know she loves the midrange deck, and this is very much what you would call pre-boarded. 4 copies of Dreams of Steel and Oil in the main. 4 copies of Anoint with Affliction in the main, and Misha, all of those cards just have Slogurk written on them in Sharpie.
Yeah, they sure do. Plus those cut downs. Don't forget those 3 mainboard cut downs. And 4 bats, more hand disruption. uh
Yeah, not playing the obliterated tail swipe package. So, Caroline, there's still improvements that could be made, but but certainly knew what Nicole was doing. It says she was given heads up of what Nicole was going to play by Nicole. So just had to do it. And this is the kind of metagaming we love to see here at the VML.
Absolutely. I'm very excited. I do love me some Golgari good stuff, so
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get down to the action and see whether it's going to be good stuff against the
Oh,
slow guy deck.
we've got a
Of course.
video.
Oh, of course. We don't have to go to the action. Yes, you're right. We have a video for you because one of the cool things we're doing this season, oh my goodness, there's so many cool things that I actually can't even remember them all. But one of our newest casters, Niall Joan Rivers, who is fantastic, by the way, Niall is going to be doing some awesome little pre-match interviews just for our final feature of the evening for each week, so that you guys out there, all of you in the audience, can really get to know the players a little bit better. So let's have a look at what Caroline has to say.
No audio, Phoebe.
What she was playing. She won an RCQ with this deck over the weekend and was like, hey, all right, hello everyone. I am Niall Joan Rivers. I am joined by my good friend Caroline Pardee. We're going to talk about her upcoming match against Nicole Dubin. Caroline, how are you feeling about the match?
Pretty good. I got the chance to kind of suss out what Nicole was gonna play, slash Nicole told me. And so I built a deck that hopefully beats her deck.
Yeah, so Nicole was not secretive at all about what she was playing. She won an RCQ with this deck over the weekend and was like, hey, feeling good. Caroline, here's what I'm playing. Good luck.
Well, the best part was she posted that in my Discord and then deleted the message. So actually, the mind games were real. Like, I had to decide, was this a trick?
Was this real or was this bait? Oh, man.
So I decided it was real, and spent Sunday evening putting together cards that read, get rid of Slogurk, And that's actually it. That's all that happened.
Yeah, well, so she is on the Slogurk deck, a newer deck in Standard that does a lot. A kind of dirtily deck. It casts a lot. It takes a lot of game actions. That's my experience
So
with the deck.
many.
It takes a lot of game actions. What was your approach for trying to take that down, knowing that's what you were up against?
Well, I mean, I said it earlier as a joke, but all seriousness, I really needed a million ways to make sure that Slogurk either doesn't come into play with Dreams of Steel and Oil or is removed very quickly before any shenanigans with like the channel lands or what the land that saves everything.
Oh, Plaza of Heroes, yeah.
Plaza of Heroes.
Yeah.
I told you I was bad with themes. So I have got a lot of removal spells. I've got a lot. I have some interaction with the hand, and then some threats because turns out you do need threats to win the game. So one threat I have never played with before, but during testing I've got to play with is Glissa, and whew, let me tell you.
What a
it's
card.
not always good, but what a card.
What a card. A lot of text on that card.
Every time I would go to a text, I'd be like, okay, can my opponent, my testing, like whoever's testing with me, can they block? And the answer was always no, but I just had to check anyway just in case.
Yeah.
The answer is basically always no.
She's intense. She's a very powerful card.
Yeah.
Now, this is far from your first season in the VML, right? You've got a long history of competitive Magic. Do you want to walk us through that real quick?
Yeah, I played season 1 through 7. I won season 2, 3, and 7. So technically, this is my first match back since I won.
Oh wow!
So I've been undefeated in the last 2 years.
Huge moment.
We'll see what this match does for that record.
Yeah, so you've played in many VMLs. You've also just been a big name in competitive Magic for a while. Nicole Dubin, also pretty big name in competitive Magic for a while. Did you feel at all intimidated knowing that your opponent was also like a grinder, had played in big events, had good turnouts? I mean, just won an RCQ with this deck days prior.
Fine. What are you like? I'm so anxious. There's kind of I put like a lot of myself to win this match, and because I put like a spicy brew. This is my entrance back into the VML, and I'm so anxious about it. It's kind of insane. Nicole's awesome.
Yeah, no, she is. And I think it's totally reasonable to feel anxiety about your VML matches. I certainly feel anxiety about my upcoming VML match. But when you're approaching your week-to-week matches in this league, what is your take? Are you a metagame each of your opponents type player? Are you a jam the same deck each week type of player? What's your strategy?
I think given what I submitted this week, that one's pretty easy to tell. I am generally a metagame. I do my best. I usually really only go this hard, like pre-board decklist kind of style, when I'm very confident. If I'm just like, if I think that their archetype is like a mid-range or a ramp or whatever, I'll probably have some sort of sideboard heavy plan as opposed to a main deck pre-board option, which is what I went with this week.
Yeah.
But it's mostly worked out for me. There was one season where I just was like, no, there's no way my opponent is going to play mono green. And then they played mono green and I lost, and it was sad.
Well, you can only metagame your opponent so far. Eventually they can surprise you, pull one over on you.
Yeah, the metagamer got metagamed-ed. No, something like that.
All right, well, Caroline, I wish you luck in the match. I'm excited to watch it with everyone else here in a minute. Best of luck.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. We're going to go back to coverage right now. Thanks for watching.
All right, my friends, we are going down straight into the action here for our final feature match of the evening. It's going to be TheMightyLinguine, Caroline Hardy on the upper half of your screen, Up
Do you
again.
see that 7?
No, I
Oh,
didn't.
Caroline had a no land 7 hand.
Oh, no. That's not what you want.
No, no. So that's one mole. This is a much better hand now. It's like she's tossing back 1 and white with affliction, keeping a cut down, and a bat on 2.
And let's look at what Nicole's working with. 2 inties, 2 lands, Relic of Legends available as well. No blue mana just yet for this Rona. Go for the draw for turn. So not an ideal hand from Nicole. She's going to be looking for a little bit of help from this Inti, but cut down, perfectly placed to take down Inti straight away. And it's bat time.
Yep. Caroline's taking a peek over what Nicole's got going on, and right now the Indy's really all Nicole, that and the go for the throat. So I guess if I'm Caroline, I take the go for the throat. That way my bat doesn't get removed.
I guess. I mean, is it worth just setting this Inti back by a turn? Do you think?
Honestly, it might be, but
Oh, is
actually
that
it's going to
Relic
be
of
the
Legends?
yeah, the Relic of Legends is what she's elected to take.
Okay,
No,
all right,
no,
I like it.
no
Stop the
ramping.
mana. Yeah, no ramping. Does Class of Heroes is going to solve Nicole's mana problems, at least for now. Rona gets to come down, but honestly, Caroline's deck is just so full of removal that it's hard to see any creature sticking around for very long.
Yeah, that's very true. I think if I remember correctly, she has at least 10 or 11 like hard pieces of removal for Nicole's deck.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna play that tapped Restless Cottage, preparing for those preachers next turn.
Okay, all right. So Caroline in the other game has done what her deck is designed to do, built, disrupted a bunch of stuff. But here comes the Goose Mother, and I believe it's just a one of in the deck. Love to see her coming down. I have the updated version of Hydro Craces, our old favorite. And here comes Dream of Steels and Oil from Caroline, takes care of both copies of Inti.
Yeah, that was really a perfect draw for her. Got to put the preacher out and got to play the Dreams of Steel and Oil. Great use of mana.
Speaking of perfect draws, shielded off the top for Nicole, and that's gonna let the Goose Mother draw a card, gain some life. There's Otawara in hand already, and Nicole is kind of setting up. No Slogurk just yet, but already a very dominating board presence for Nicole.
Yeah, and Caroline just gonna go ahead and attack with that preacher. Totally fine if Nicole wants to trade off that Shouldred.
Yeah, I think Nicole may decline on that one. you know.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to trade Shouldred off either.
For
Ooh,
sure. Now Nicole's faced with some options. Urtai was the draw. Can go for the throat on this preacher maybe, or just Urtai it, Misha. What do you like?
honestly, I think I kind of prefer just doing the Urtai on it. Just get it completely off the board. Because if both of those preachers attack, that's multiple vampires. So I think I'd want to just take it out and put another creature of my own. But Nicole's actually going to Otawara and get in
Okay.
for more damage.
Yeah, here's also Aura. And now that 1/1 from preacher soaking up the damage from Shieldred, Caroline up to down to 13 and go for the throat still available for Nicole. Misha's Foundry, not necessarily what Caroline was looking for.
No, definitely not. Especially when Nicole has that go for the throat in hand, can do another piece of spot removal. Basically, can have kind of a recurrence of last turn.
Right, for sure. And Urtai, also another piece of removal. So, we talked about Caroline's deck having a lot of removal here, but it looks like Nicole actually on the more of the disruptive plan for now. Jace the perfect in mind the draw. Nicole's really finding all of these fun little 1 and 2 ofs in the deck, but not very many Slogurks just yet.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Um, Caroline electing not to turn the Foundry into a 2/2 this turn.
Oh, okay.
That is an instant speed exile. So that would take care of that Shouldred. But at this point, I think I am still more afraid of the Shouldred just because of the card draw, um, gain two, lose two on either side. But that Goose Mother, having a 4/4 flyer, that's kind of rough.
Yeah, that is pretty rough. Here is the bat coming in. Caroline leaves the preacher back on defense. And this is very interesting now. Ertai getting cast in the end step gives Caroline the opening to cast the end if she so chooses.
Mm-hmm. It looks like she will. I'm going to assume that she's going to plan to target the Shouldred.
Right. She's at 8 life. I mean, that's not a lot against the Shieldred for sure.
Yeah, especially with the Urtai coming down, and that's going to be at least a swing for 7. The Foundry is tapped, so she can't even activate the Foundry as a chump blocker.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. So not lethal this turn for Nicole, but does have 7. Oh, and that's a cut down
Oh!
of the draw for Caroline. What a find! And Ertai goes down. I mean, Nicole's still pretty far ahead, but geez, some great stuff here from Caroline's deck, and we're gonna see what Nicole can do here. I mean, Goose Mother still very much the dominant presence on the battlefield.
Yeah, and I was going to say there are still 2 Restless Cottages that even if Caroline doesn't draw anything next turn, that could potentially get in, do some damage, and make some food. It's not much, but it's something that may keep her in the game.
For sure. So we're gonna see Jace come down. We don't have an accurate count yet of what the library count is, but we know that the graveyard is under 20 because Nicole only drew the 1 card from Jace and not all 3.
Mhm. All right.
Oh, it's a Death Cap Glade. And Jace has got to be going down to one of these lands, right?
I would assume so. Caroline should have enough to activate, and if she wanted to um, track the food it would create, that should give her a little bit more of a buffer.
Right. Oh yeah, of course it does make a food as well. I was just thinking, doesn't Inti give the Goose Mother trample? But actually, the food is going to be pretty massive here for Caroline.
Yeah, I you never expect the food off the cottage to play a significant part in these games, but I think that may come down to it in this one.
Yeah, Caroline's not taking any chances eating the food now. Jace goes down to a walking house, and Inti is coming down. I mean, this goose is going to get pretty big. That Dreamwood Cascade is going to be pitched, and let's see what Nicole finds off the top.
Another
It's a
land.
classic show. Karen really needs something here. Deathcap Glade, not very helpful.
Yeah, because even if Caroline could technically survive another turn if she were to attack with the bat and with the cottage crack the food. Actually, no, she wouldn't. She could not attack with the bat because the Inti could attack as well. And
Right.
yeah, so she has to keep that back as an attacker and block with it next turn just to stay alive.
All right. Okay. So here comes Restless Cottage. It's going to take care of some channel land. So that's some nice heads up play there from Caroline. But ultimately, it's going to come down to what comes off the top here for Nicole. If it's interaction for the bat, then it looks like it's lethal. But that's a Titania. That's not interaction from the bat. And I wonder if you even discard a card here.
I
I
think
think you
just
gotta.
for the trample alone is worth the discard.
Right. That makes sense. Like, Caroline has to eat this food. Step 1.
Step 1,
Goes to
eat food. Yes,
right,
I'm
and
a
that puts
part of
her
this
at
plan.
6. Yeah. Yeah, the best plan. And and then I suppose Cat has to jump in front of the Inti? Sorry, not Cat, Bat.
Yeah, yeah, it would have to be the bat because even if you were to block the goose, you're still gonna take 5 damage, so you might as well prevent the 2 off of the inty. You have to trade either way, unfortunately. I suppose that you Caroline does have the option of activating the foundry, blocking the inty, and,
Oh,
trading for it, but oh, no, she can't because she has to eat the food. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. She can't
that's
activate
right.
the foundry and eat the food.
Right. So let's see what Caroline does decide to do here. I mean, there's the food. Bat jumps in front of Inti. Goes to 1. Relic of Legends comes back to hand. That is not doing very much here for Nicole. And Caroline, does Caroline have enough to make 2 cottages? Not yet, right? Oh, anoint with a. Oh, does she have enough to do everything? She can
She
anoint the Goose Mother and block with the land?
The Plaza of Heroes, though.
Oh, the Plaza of Heroes. You're right.
Because the Goose Mother is a legendary creature.
Right. Yeah, you are correct. Caroline also knows what's up. Here's the cottage. It's gotta make the food. But it doesn't look like that's gonna be enough because Caroline will go to 4. Plaza protects Goose Mother. It was close though. For
It was
stabilizing.
Yeah, it was very, very close.
For sure. But it does look like Nicole, with this aggro Gurkless Gurk plan, is going to be
Yes,
taking it down.
the Gurkless Gurk plan. Who needs Gurk when you got a goose?
That's, words to live by. For sure. Now let's have a look at the sideboarding now. We're going to see some duresses come in. I think we saw the Jace. Maybe some numbers changing there as well for Nicole. Let's have a look. Titania doesn't seem like she's doing a lot. Oh no, and the goose that did so much work in game
No,
number 1.
no appreciation for the goose.
Yeah, what? Come on, Nicole. Show some respect. Oh, and Caroline, I mean, she already pre-boarded. Like, what is that to bring in?
That's a good question. What do you bring in when you've already brought in? I guess you take the bigger shouldered out in favor of the smaller shouldered.
Okay, yeah, easy, 1 change. And this hand.
I was gonna say this go around. That seems like a much better keep for Caroline. Unfortunately, not as good of a keep for Nicole.
Yeah, has to go down to 6. Has just a Rona. Does have a bunch of lands to work with, but Caroline's going to be very, very pleased when she casts this Dreams of Steel and Oil and sees the good news.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go.
Yep.
I mean, I guess it's not the best news, right? She really wants to be taking a Slogurk, but ultimately taking that Relic of Legends also very heads up because it does get artifacts.
Yes, exiling that Relic of Legends, keeping that cut down, killing the Rona. We do know there's the Takanuma in hand, but at the same time, are you going to spend your whole Takanuma to go get the Rona right now?
Right.
Probably not.
Probably not. And actually, a reasonable draw that at least means that Nicole can trade with this first preacher.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this. Caroline says, I'm not even going to use my Anoint with Affliction. I'm just going to let this trade happen, play the second one, pass the turn, and what are you going to do? She knows that Nicole only has a couple of lands in hand, and now we're seeing Jace Perfected Mind. What's that going to do here for Nicole?
Yeah, that does, take the preacher down, but you'll still get the trigger off the preacher when it attacks. Oh,
Right.
and that draw for Caroline, that Glissa off the top, that is a good draw.
Yeah, in her interview earlier, we heard Caroline talk about Glissa, this card Glissa, and she was saying, Misha, that every time she played with it, like playtested with it, she kept having to check, like, is my opponent able to block this card? And the answer is always no.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good card. She has First Strike and Death Touch, like,
Hello?
not is your creature indestructible? Okay.
Yeah, so some pretty nice stuff here. Doesn't even play out the Glissa. It's going to just get in with that Restless Cottage, really respecting the Jace, trying to get off the battlefield as soon as possible.
Yep, that Anoint Will Affliction, though, that is gonna wow. Who who needed, wow, 2 of them when you can get 3?
It's very true. And away goes Rona. This game just suddenly just seems so different from the first game. I mean, Caroline really in the driver's seat here. Preacher just getting more and more value. And
Mhm.
Jace is going to go down.
Yep, unfortunately, Nicole doesn't really have a lot of answers, especially with that Rona being exiled. Only the Ashnod right now can be, gotten back from the graveyard. Takanuma does let you mill, but you run the risk of just milling some more lands, and, you know, I don't know at what point Nicole takes that risk just to try to get something else.
Well, maybe now.
Yep, I said that, and then
Jeez, it is just land after land here for Nicole, which, if there was a Slogurk on the battlefield, that would be great, right? You would love to mill a bunch of lands and get your Ashnod back. But unfortunately, we are not seeing a lot of slime action. We are seeing a lot of Anoint with Affliction here. Caroline pushing the damage now with the team. Nicole's going to be going down to somewhere in this like 10, 11 region. I can do maths 100%. And, and the
yeah,
beats keep coming.
yeah, Caroline just has such a good draw engine going right now with the Glissa, the Preacher. It's it's definitely the second game is looking very much in her favor.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Caroline close this one out pretty shortly. And I mean, at least the good news for Nicole is she's already a game up. You can tell because she has a little star next to her pronouns there. And she can try and claw it back in the last one. Both of them very much still live to take away the win here in week 1.
Yeah, it's still anybody's game. The second one goes to Caroline. It's 1-1. We're gonna go back to boards and see if they decide to make any other changes. Doesn't look like
Uh,
Nicole is.
yeah, very quick. No changes for Nicole. And Caroline staring at this pre-boarded deck.
Yeah.
Blossoming Sources is an interesting one.
Mhm. Yep, decides, that one shouldered switch out, gonna take it from
Perfect.
here. Oh, both of them have hand disruption in hand.
That's true. Both of them do have hand disruption, but unfortunately for Nicole, Caroline is the one with the double. So,
Yeah.
oh no, the Sand excellent emoting from Nicole. And Dreams of Steel and Oil takes away this relic as before. But, Misha, I'm really hoping that we get to see the card Slogurk the Overslime at some point in
We
this match.
we saw it one time. We've seen it one time tonight. We we
That's true. Yeah,
really
we've seen it one time.
yeah. I think we need some justice for Slogurk.
This would just, it's okay. I know what VML players are like. This would just fuel the desire for people to resubmit this deck next week in the hopes that we get to see some Gurks on coverage and Go for the Throat goes away. But Shieldred is a nice draw for Nicole.
Yeah, she can certainly get it out next turn. Well, it depends if she wants to keep the Otawara as an actual land or keep it as a channel land. Because if she keeps it as a channel land, that Zeotorus comes down tapped. So it looks like she's just going to cycle the Zeotorus now, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a cycle there for sure. Shieldred is a potential play. Urtai also available. And Duress the draw as well. But I think Nicole, recognizing really that this Shieldred has to stick for her fortunes in this game to turn around, gets it down. Shieldred does stick. Caroline does not find a piece of removal for it right now. And just has to kind of get this tortoise out.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Caroline's deck is very much boarded for things that are mana value 3 or less. She doesn't have a ton of removal for things that are not 3 or less, aka the Shouldred.
That's a good point. I think there's just the 2 copies of the End and some copies of Terra Sunder if you pay the full cost, I think. But yeah, you're right. Certainly not as able to answer Shieldred as she is to answer the smaller creatures. And Nicole, with the Urtai as well, that's a nice piece of protection for Shieldred if Caroline finds something.
Oh yeah, the that Terra Sunder, that will take care of the Shouldred, but the Urtai with the mana up to cast it may put a bit of a wrench into that.
Oh, I just realized the tortoise because it gives +1/+1 to land creatures. That makes sense.
Those cottages are going to get real big.
Get real big. And Urtai, Nicole's actually going to proactively use the Urtai, and that does give the gap in the defenses for Shieldred to be taken out. Oh no, the sad Hedron is back. And Urtai, it can take care of the bat. It could trade with the tortoise even, but losing Shieldred, a huge blow here for Nicole.
Yes, I agree. Because Caroline, we know that Nicole is getting the go for the throat back, but with all of these creature lands and the tranquil frill back, she has options to go in for attacks.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
especially with
certainly
another
does.
Terra Sunder.
Wow. All right, so Caroline does get to activate this cottage and attack, or use Tranquil Throwback, because one of the modes I believe is that you get to exile a graveyard. So that could take care of all of the stuff that Nicole's got going on in case she finds something like another Takanuma.
Opting for the Terra Sunder here.
And I like
Oh.
this. Get the beats in.
Yeah, I do too. Which,
Oh, no.
I'd like just to note that Go for the Throat cannot kill artifact creatures, and the Mishra's Foundry is an assembly worker artifact creature. So that Go for the Throat cannot even target those little foundries.
That's pretty funny. And Caroline, this is why I love watching Caroline play, because she just has all the angles covered. She just knows like all the little tips and tricks, like all the kind of like, you know, this assembly worker artifact land thing, you know, making the decision here to get in with the cottage instead of getting the throwback down, holding that for later on if she needs it, recognizing that she needs to close this game out. Just great stuff there from Caroline. You can really tell why, you know, she's such a dominating player in the VML.
I do want to note that the other ability of Mishra's Foundry, because Caroline does have two, is that you can pay 1 and tap it to give an attacking assembly worker +2/+2. So if she wanted to, she could she could have tapped the other foundry and pumped up that
Uh,
one last turn.
uh-huh. That is a great point. Here's a Knight with Affliction from Nicole's deck. So that takes care of one Restless Cottage, but we do know there is a second. Oh! No. Spoke too soon.
Gonna go in with the cottage
Yeah,
and
it's
with an
rinse and
assembly
repeat for
worker.
sure. Rinse and repeat from last time. Oh, but okay,
Yep,
because this is so interesting. Nicole is gonna wait until the attacks so that the Mishra's Foundry doesn't have the ability to activate. Like the one on the ground. Oh, that's another answer for a creature land. Okay.
this is quite funny to me that
It is very funny.
Nicole is systematically taking out Caroline's mana base.
Yeah, this is suddenly gotten very Ponzo over here. Um, but here we go. Mishra's Foundry. Oh, make 2 Mishra's Foundries. Love to see it. And for Seichu, I mean, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You really wish you had a Slogurk while you did it, but you got to do it.
Justice for Slogurk, where are you? Come out here.
Oh, I mean, Inti, it just seems too little, too late. And I I know the community loves Slogurk. I love Slogurk, but we have not seen a good showing from the Slogurk decks today, for sure.
I completely agree.
Like Nicole gonna have to trade this Inti here?
Oh, that mm, that's just a
No.
sad trade. No.
Yeah, you can't, right? Like, you can't really bring yourself to Inti. Maybe gets bigger next turn. You already know Caroline has a throwback. Here comes a preacher, and it's just these mid-range threat after mid-range threat. Soken-san, that looks kind of anemic against a 2/4 with Death Touch. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's something to throw in front of the preacher, but it's not something you want to throw in front of the preacher.
right. You don't really want to throw anything in front of the preacher. Let's be honest.
Yeah, true.
But
But just to preserve life total, I think Nicole has to start. Yeah, has to do
okay,
something.
okay. I mean, Ertai is something,
It is an answer to the preacher next turn. That's for sure.
right? And Nicole has to try and kill this Misha's Foundry. Oh my god, this block. Caroline just found the Terrace under the 2/1/1s in front of it. She could just take out one of these 1/1s and get the old limited combat step 2 for 1, but lets the land go.
Yeah, I mean, she has the option to play the frill back out and then hold up the Terra Sundered for the not kicked cost, or just hold the Terra Sunder and kick it if she desires.
Yeah, I think we maybe are gonna see this throwback come down now.
Yeah, with
Nicole's at
Nicole's
4
life,
life.
yeah, with her life total being so low, just getting another threat on the field seems like a good option. We know that the Urtai can take out something, but both of these creatures can overtake the Inti, which leaves Nicole in not such a great position, especially when you have a Terra Sunder in hand.
Right. Nicole's looking at all the cards Caroline's played. And here's the throwback. Exile Taco plays graveyard. Goodbye to Nicole's graveyard. That's not a Slogurk. I mean, yeah, sure you get to kill the preacher, but Caroline gets to draw a card. It's just, oh my goodness.
With the double the double removal.
Yeah, Nicole's not quite dead yet, right?
That's correct. She would go down to 1
Yeah, she would go down to 1. Does she? Ashnod? I mean,
It is
it's
an
an answer.
answer.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it was a choice between the sad Hedron and the happy Hedron, I think, at this particular spot. Let's see what Caroline can find. Besager does not take out Ashnod. It's not an artifact. If she finds
The
removal, that's it. Oh.
the saddest part about Ashnod is that if Nicole played the land out, she would have had 5 mana to exile a creature from her graveyard and make a tapped 3/3 colorless zombie, except for Nicole no longer has a graveyard.
Wow. What a dunk that was. Oh no, the land comes down. Nicole does not find another answer for this Misha's Foundry, and ultimately
This
we're gonna
death
see Caroline get there.
death by Foundry.
Death by Foundry. Death by 1,000
Oh,
foundries. That's
I
gonna do it.
for a second I thought Nicole was gonna tap that pain land and take herself out.
Yeah, Caroline really kind of got through a lot of these creatures and just throwing them onto these anointed afflictions, onto the Besajus. Oh, and Nicole tried to take the hero's way out, but ultimately the safeguards that Arena puts in stopping that from happening. And we're going to see Caroline, the mighty Linguini, come back from her season 7 victory straight in with the round 1 win. Congratulations to Caroline. I'm sure that is the result that she was hoping for. And Misha, is it going to happen again? Is Caroline just going to take the season down?
Well, I just want to say in season 7, I made it to the finals and she was my round 1 opponent and she beat me. So I mean, I believe.
Oh, we've all had this experience, Misha. If for the old timers of the VML, you know, the those of us who are playing here before, we've had the experience of losing to Caroline at critical steps
Yeah.
for sure.
So if anyone's a believer in Caroline's ability, it's me.
100%. All right, friends, that is going to do it. That is all of our feature matches from the evening. It has been a fantastic time here with you, Misha. We've made some awesome announcements. Don't forget VML plus Birds of Paradise collab play space in Chicago. We will see you there. And of course, we will also have more information on our awesome new nonprofit organization, Gender Inclusive Gaming, coming up, hopefully in the next couple of months. Misha, it's been fantastic. You've been wonderful. I want to say a massive thank you to Phoebe. I want to say a massive thank you to all the people behind the scenes at the VML with production, with the leadership team. I want to say thank you to a bunch of the people who've dedicated time and energy to us. Shout out to Alan Maya for being so awesome and doing our socials for the last couple of years. Shout out to, you know, all of our new article writers. I am so excited to see where we go with this with, you know, season 11 plus plus plus, and of course we're looking forward to cheering on all of our friends in Chicago. So Misha, any last thoughts for the evening?
Happy birthday, Nicole. It's Lady of the Crease's birthday today. So I guess that's my only
Oh,
announcement to add in.
I knew there was something I was forgetting. Yes, happy birthday to Lady of the Crease, who is of course uh, one of our awesome casters here, and you'll get to see Nicole in action maybe next week.
I'd have to look it up,
Maybe
but
we'd
soon.
have to look it up. We would have to look it up. Yeah, but oh yes, in fact, Nicole will be here on your screens next week. So celebrating her birthday this week, then on your screens next week. All right, my friends. I hope you've had a wonderful evening. Have a fantastic weekend. Misha, have a good one. Thank you to everyone, and we will see you next week for more VML.